So let's get started with our session today, which is all about generative AI-driven enterprise service management. Ivanti is investing in AI. Well, we're going to give you a walkthrough of what AI means, specifically generative AI means from an enterprise service management context.
Right.
So just a quick introduction of the speakers here. Working, not working. All right. My name is Sirjad Parakkat. I lead the engineering for Ivanti, specifically for the enterprise service management business unit, based out of San Jose area. I've been in the space for about 20 years, mostly working with enterprise products. That's a quick introduction about me, Peter.
Yeah, and I'm Peter Adams. I'm Senior Director of Product Management in the enterprise service management space. Fairly new with Ivanti, but not new to the industry. I've been working as a product management leader for 20 plus years in the ITSM space, covering many topics, but including implementing AI use cases over many, many years. So certainly have a good background on this. And what we wanted to discuss today are a couple of topics. First of all, a little bit of a recap. Why AI is relevant for a service management perspective. I mean, as you can imagine, AI is almost something that every software vendor talks about, but it certainly is important for the service management space as well, right? Then we want to present what type of use cases we are covering today. There are already a number of capabilities we have in our portfolio around AI, including a live demo on some of the capabilities, also some that are even still in work. And then we do want to talk about the roadmap a bit more. What are we planning to cover, at least for the next year or so, let me say it that way, right? This is a fast-moving space, so especially in the roadmap, you can imagine we need to be flexible and see what technology comes out there. But we wanted to give you at least a bit of an insight into what we plan to do here, right? So again, let's talk a little bit about why AI. And if you listen to all the hype that is out there around the latest Gen AI technology and all the market success, etc., it's sometimes easy to forget that AI is not a purpose in itself. Ultimately, it's a means to reach a certain outcome. And for us, it's a means to reach the outcomes that we are striving for to enable to our customers, right? Again, that goes beyond, as we discussed in, for example, the roadmap in another session, I always emphasize that goes beyond cost savings and, let's say, stability of IT services, right? That reaches today, from a service management perspective, a lot of other areas as well, right? So we want to help improve the employee experience so that you can retain talent, recruit talent, right? That's a challenge for many organizations today, and generally deliver a good employee experience. It can help improve your security stance, right? Again, service management has a place to play in there as well. And even around agility and digital transformation, right? We had talked at times about how service management can actually help accelerate the agility of organization, make sure that more deployments can happen, more innovation can be rolled out, right? And again, AI ultimately helps with all these goals. There are use cases pretty much for all these outcomes, but it's important to keep in mind, again, the outcomes is what matters, not necessarily the technology, right? And so when we look at use cases, we always keep in mind, what value does it eventually deliver to our customers, right? It's not about just using a cool technology. It's about enabling outcomes to our customers. And that's the lens that we use to look at this, right? So the part that makes AI amazing is really the degree to which it can progress these outcomes, right? That's the way how I look at it, right? It really is, progressing things that traditionally were meant to be done by humans, so to speak, right? Whether it's creating a knowledge article, writing a knowledge article, whether it's understanding amounts of data, etc. It's something that used to be only possible for humans now can be done by technology, right? And that's ultimately almost the definition of AI, that it does something that traditionally is associated with human activity, right? And that's what really opens up all these significant improvements, right? If you want to kind of structure it into different capabilities. You can do it in these three areas. Number one, expanding the scope of automation. So there's many use cases, again, where something that was done by humans is now automated, right? And you can think of AI as pushing the limits of automation forward quite a bit, right? Again, in various activities, right? Whether it's understanding, writing, creative activities, etc. It's quite a bit, right? The second one is around awareness and decision making, and that almost goes beyond what humans can do today, because it can look at vast amount of data. And I think you all know that all the systems out there are creating more and more data, and that includes the ITSM systems or enterprise service management systems as well. So that goes a little bit beyond what humans can do, because it can sift through all the data and create meaningful insights out of it, right? And support enterprise service management personas in the decision making as well, right? So that's a significant step forward. And then ultimately it does allow to transform the user experience in many aspects, right? Delivering interactions that were previously not really possible, right? Whether it's about submitting a ticket or a service request, right? Traditionally, you had to either call or maybe fill out in a self-service UI a certain form. Now we can do it fully conversationally, or you can just describe what issue you have, and the chatbot takes care of it, right? And that even expands into, now slowly but surely expands into creative activities that an ITSM administrator would normally have to do, right? Hope you all had a chance to look at the demo area where we're showing a use case that was done as part of our DevCon, our internal innovation initiative, right? Where we are showing how you can, with a simple text prompt, create a business object, so to speak, in the system. Something, again, usually an administrator or developer would do, right? So that change in user experience even affects more and more the creative aspects, right? The administrator, developer side, right? So those are ways how to think about it. And another example, again, how AI can transform user experiences is around the analytics and reporting capabilities, right? Where it's not just a transition in technology, right? From a traditional desktop-based reporting solution to a web-based, etc. But now, again, many tools start having, conversational interfaces to get the information out that you're looking for, right? So again, that's the way, AI is able to push this significantly forward, right? Now, our approach to AI, when we look at this from an enterprise service management perspective, is really what's shown on the slide here: human intelligence and intelligent technology working together to do amazing things. So it's about augmentation. It's not really a focus of us to say, oh, we have to replace, service desk agent, we have to replace it. It's really about enabling them to do a better job, right? That's really our main focus. Sure, productivity gains will have maybe an impact, etc., but it's not the main purpose, right? Our focus is, again, on augmentation, right? And you can argue it's not just the human intelligence, it's the creativity that humans bring into the mix, because that is, still a skill and a capability that augments what the AI technology can do, right? Even if you submit a prompt, right, somebody has to first have the idea of what this new capability should do, right? And so that's our approach. When we think about AI technology, it's about bringing the best that humans can do, the creativity, the intelligence, together with what technology can do to get to these better outcomes. Right? So now, for the second part, we want to shift more into, what are we doing today around AI technology. And before I hand it over to Sirjad, let me just quickly recap where we are today. We've been doing AI for quite a while here at Ivanti, way before I joined. But if you think about it, we've been doing this for more than 3 years as part of our Neurons platform, and that reflects that in general, when we look at AI capabilities, we of course use technology that is out there, whether it's an AI serves, a common open source algorithm. We use technology that is out there, right? We're not writing our own, core AI algorithm. but we do wrap it into a corresponding service as part of our platform, so that we make sure we're only looking at the right data, that the data protection is there, et cetera, and that it's easy to consume as part of our different Ivanti applications. So think of it as wrapping, again, that best-in-class technology out into specific services. And then those services, whether it's classification algorithms or chat technology or natural language processing or sentiment analysis, whatever it may be, is then used for specific use cases, right? But again, it's all based on that common Ivanti Neurons platform, right? So again, we now want to start talking a little bit about the use cases that we're covering, both to give a general overview, and then we do some live demo for the specific areas.
Thank you, Peter. As Peter mentioned, we have been innovating in this space for quite some time. I've been with the company for over 3 years. Ever since I joined, we've been doing a lot of AI-based innovation in the product. But specifically, today's topic is all generative AI. So we will give you an insight into the generative AI aspect as well and the live demo of it. But real quick, this is just a refresher, right? Some of the capabilities that we already offers, right? When it comes to AI, the traditional AI or the cognitive intelligence, everybody thinks about chatbot, right? Some of you may know that we already have a chatbot capability which exists in the product today, right? Moving on to some additional capabilities that exist, starting with incident classification or categorization. This is to automatically categorize your incidents in real time, right? This is where we actually use machine learning algorithms to train your data and then do the automatic classification of the incident. Now, talking about chatbot or incident classification, these are things you will see with other vendors as well, right? All service management vendors pretty much has these capabilities today, right? What is unique about Ivanti is these are some of the features that differentiates us from our competitors, right? Starting with digital experience score, right? This is something we support for various different use cases, such as for devices, for services like tickets, for security, sentiment analysis, etc., right? Everywhere you can actually attach the digital employee experience score, and then based on that, you can actually provide customers the best possible experience. This is also going to help increase employee or your end customer satisfaction score, right? By using the DEX score. Something we call it as this is a key differentiator, right? Another key differentiator from an Ivanti perspective is pre and post ticket automation with our self-healing bots, right? This comes with our Neurons platform where, if you have problems that are repetitive in nature, you can actually automate it and then proactively prevent those issues by using our self-healing bots, right? These are the new capabilities that we wanted to talk about. Now, switching gears from traditional AI into generative AI, right? So we looked at use cases, various different use cases. You probably have seen the Copilot demos that came out of our innovation challenge. But what we are going to show you today is, and when we talked about, how do we launch generative AI capability, we wanted to look at persona specific. So we looked at 3 different personas, starting with end users, then an analyst, and an admin, right? And the capabilities that we are launching with Gen AI, and some of this is already in the product, it's just a matter of officially launching it, but is persona specific, and we'll get into a live demo, starting with the knowledge article creation here. And this is something, talking to customers, they say that typically, even if I have all the data available, if I have to manually create a knowledge article, it takes 2 to 3 hours of my time, right? Which means if I spend a day in creating knowledge article, how many I can create? Maximum 4, right? But with Gen AI, this can be done in less than a minute. So that's what we will show you today. Another one is incident summarization. This is a use case that is going to be helpful for different personas, right? Starting with an end user, not an end user, starting with an analyst, or if you're a manager, you want to know, hey, what's going on with an escalated ticket, right? You don't have to call multiple people and find out, hey, what's going on, right? You can just get into the console and then say that, summarize this ticket for me. It is going to do that. And we will show you a live demo of that as well. This is a config hub that we are working on. It's basically for all the net new, we're going to launch a lot of AI capabilities down the line, right? We have a rich roadmap that Peter will talk about. We want to make sure that we have a configuration hub that is specific to AI, right? We don't want to put this configuration, all over the place. So this is something we're working on as well. All right. So without further ado, let me get into demo here. All right. So what you see on the screen here is our new self-service interface. So I'm going to start with the self-service use case here. I'm just going to come in here as a user, and I say, think of me as a user who has a typical VPN problem, right? So I'm just going to say that I have a VPN connection issue and I need some help here. So what I will do is, I'm saying that I have a VPN problem. It is giving me, okay, you have a VPN problem. Why don't you submit a ticket? There is no AI in this, what you see so far, right? This is all typical self-service, everybody used to it, right? So I just come in here and I say that I have a VPN problem. Oops. VPN connection failure. And then I'm just going to copy some text here to put it. I'm going to say something like, I have tried to connect to VPN multiple times and my connection is getting terminated. I need urgent help because this is impacting my productivity. That's what I as a user is saying, which means I'm a frustrated user here, right? What this is doing is it is trying to deflect me by providing me a bunch of knowledge articles, right? This is all typical. You're all familiar with it. And you're like, okay, I know this. This is all, you're just trying to deflect the case. Anyways, let me just quickly go through these knowledge articles and see if this really helps to solve the problem for me, right? I just go through it one by one. It's all, this is not really helping. I'm just going through the next one and the next one, right? And then after some point, I'm like, I'm done. I just need to continue, right? And that's what I'm doing. This is where the power of AI comes in. Right. What this is doing is it is actually capturing everything that the user has done in terms of the interaction. Right. It's just not only capturing the information that the user inputted, but notice these things. One, it is based on the sentiment of the user. It is automatically capturing the priority of the ticket. Right. It's saying that because the user said it is urgent, it is impacting productivity, it is setting the urgency to R. The second part, which is again, more importantly, is you as a service desk agent, you really don't want to go back to the user and ask the question, have you tried this knowledge article? That's probably the most irritating experience at that point, right? So you are capturing all the user interaction history there by saying, okay, now you have got all this information. Please don't go and ask this to the end user, right? That's where AI is going to help from an end user perspective. This is just one use case, right? Now, let me switch gears to an admin experience. Let me go to our mobile analyst UI and then go to incident console. By the way, this will work with our classic as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick one of the tickets here. Right? This is a ticket where a user had submitted. Jira is not working, or Jira, when the user submitted this ticket, the user says that I'm trying to connect to Jira, it's giving me an access denied error, right? Now, the backend, whoever is working from the backend, they're working on this ticket and they are giving periodic updates and so forth. But imagine a situation where the user is truly frustrated and the user is like, this has escalated to the IT help desk manager, right? Now the manager comes in here and looks at all this information. There's a lot of data here. Do I have to go through all the journal records to find out what the heck is going on here? what's the latest information. I no longer have to do that. Generative AI can help you with it. So you see something here called AI summary, just click that, right? Now what this is doing is it is taking every single information from this ticket, right? And then sending it to the backend service, our generative AI service, and it's going to come up with a nice summary for user. This is going to be useful in multiple different situations. One, when it is an escalated situation where if you are a service desk manager, you want to know the current status, most up-to-date status of the ticket, you can, right? The second is if you want to do a handover of the case, let's say this is being worked on a 24/7 basis. All those cases, this is going to be extremely useful. The reason it is taking time is one, I think the connectivity. Second is it is going to a backend service. Okay, now you have the information readily available here live, right? What this is, it's giving you a quick summary of what the ticket is about and what the action that the service desk agent have taken. In this particular case, the issue is to do with Jira subscription. And then in order to get the subscription, the service desk agent cannot get it directly. They have to work with a different team. So that's the information that you see on the screen here, right? And notice that if this is linked to an asset, it will give you that information as well. In this case, there is no asset. You also have something like, was this helpful or not? This will help to improve the overall prompt engineering experience, right? So in this case, again, different use cases from a technology perspective. We use large language model, small language model. There are use cases where we are looking at even implementing a multi-model model. Now, let me quickly switch to another use case for the same persona here, right? This is to do with knowledge article creation. We talked about knowledge article creation. Any ticket that is completely closed, if you want to create a knowledge article, you don't have to do that by hand anymore, right? What this will do is it is going to automatically take all the data from the incident, and then it is going to come up with a nice knowledge article for you. We started with the basic knowledge article template. We are also looking at supporting advanced templates, right? So this is another area where generative AI can help you. Look at how powerful this is, right? When it comes to knowledge management. You no longer have to spend a lot of time in creating this by hand. What this is going to, once the article is created, it's going to put this article in draft mode, right? So that you can review it. It's not going to automatically publish it, but you see that it has nicely summarized the articles with bullet points, right? And then you can publish it. We are also looking at how do you automatically classify this article. So there's a lot more feature functionality that's going to be added to this moving forward, right? Now, the last live use case that I wanted to show you is not fully ready yet, but this is something work in progress. But the backend piece is getting really ready, right? Which is why I really wanted to take this. I know when Peter talked about the roadmap, he is going to show you some mockups as well on how the final product will look like. But this is, I think he had one slide about the dashboard, right? Dashboard is something, it's not something a normal user can build it today, right? It's a power user tool we talk about, right? Anytime, if I'm a CIO, I'm a director of IT, I wanted to get a report, I have to call someone. And then the turnaround time can be anywhere from an hour to days, right? So this is where we wanted to simplify that experience with dashboard creation. Now, it's a very, very powerful use case, right? So I'm starting with a simple query here. So this one is, imagine I'm the CIO of the company, right? And I'm working on a laptop refresh program. I wanted to know how many of my employees' laptops are out for refresh, right? Let's say in the next quarter. In this particular case example, let's say I wanted to know how many laptops are up for refresh or the warranty is expiring between Jan and March of 2024, right? So I just put a simple English text there, and then I say that submit. This is going to give me what this is doing in the backend, right? That's the part I really want to show you more than the front end piece because it's not ready yet, is that it is taking this simple English text and then really converting that to something the metadata platform understands, right? ITSM is a metadata-based platform, right? That's what this is doing. And there's a lot of back and forth back-end processing that is happening behind the scenes. That's the part I really wanted to show you here. Now, the final product, when you see it, this is going to be actionable, meaning you can actually go in, you can drill down this and get into, take more actions. So this is going to be more actionable data that you will see when we launch this. Right? Let me give you a couple more examples here. I'm just going to say something like, show me all the changes requested by a user, Alan Taylor. Let's say I'm a change manager. I wanted to approve a change, and then Alan is coming to me saying, hey, I have requested some change. Rather than going into a change management console, I just come here and then say, show me all the changes requested by the individual, right? And then I drill into that. It takes me to the change management console. I review it, I approve it, done. Right? So that's the backend part. Now, simple NLP query that the backend understands, right? And then it can, do wonders for me. This is just another query where getting into a little bit more complexity here. Show me all the incident where status is active, urgency is high, et cetera, right? So it's giving you that information. Sorry. Quickly moving to the next part, which is the roadmap, and then we'll conclude. So AI roadmap, Peter is going to cover that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sirjad. As usual, when we talk about roadmap, we have to show the disclaimer and confidentiality on the slide. I think you know the rules. Again, we present this as best as we can, but subject to change. I don't want to harp too long on it. So the first topic is the roadmap on the dashboarding side. So as Sirjad has shown the backend ability, the idea to take natural language text and convert that into a query and a visualization, we do plan to further productize that specifically on the user experience, right? And we've shown that yesterday a little bit in our general roadmap session. The idea is really that you would interactively, the system would prompt you, hey, what type of information would you want to see? It may even ask follow-up questions, clarification questions, right? And then eventually make a proposal how this could be visualized, right? So the experience will be a bit different from what you've seen in the live demo. That was mostly to show the concept that you can translate a text into a corresponding query and visualization decision, right? And again, that could then be correspondingly added to your dashboard, right? So that's the direction we're going. User experience-wise, as stated, will be different. But again, the key idea is that you would translate text to a query, so to speak, and a decision around the visualization. The second roadmap topic I wanted to talk about is this idea of instant correlation. So the idea here is that we look at a number of incidents and really trying to understand, and these would be new incidents that come into the service desk, trying to understand if they are correlated around a common cause. So let's think about, you have an email outage or another shared service is impacted. You would probably expect that you see a bunch of incidents coming in. Some come from your monitoring integration. People may submit it by phone and the agent logs the incident, and then they may submit it through the self-service. You likely get a bunch of incidents, not just a single one, right? Now, what do you do with all of this? First of all, you have to detect that there is a common issue going on, and that visibility today has been a bit of a challenge, right? So, we are planning to cluster these incidents on the fly and trying to detect which ones really belong together in terms of they're caused by one underlying issue, so to speak, right? And then we're planning to visualize that so that, let's say, a service desk manager or somebody who is on call trying to, respond to any major issues, they would have this kind of dashboard to see what's currently going on. So again, there may be a lot more incidents coming into the service desk for individual password resets or so. Those are usually individual issues and they're not really correlated to the same root cause, right? But again, here the idea is that you try to understand the bigger issues that are happening in the IT environment. And again, you would visualize that with the corresponding cluster display like you see here. And then you would be able to drill down and analyze, hey, what are the incidents that belong to this cluster? You can then bulk relate them to a corresponding parent or master incident, right? There's different terminology used here so that they can be effectively managed as a single incident. But you could potentially take other steps, right? You can treat it like a major incident, et cetera, right? So it gives you transparency into what's going on. It reduces the time to detect that something bigger is going on. And then it helps effectively manage this bulk of incidents that may come into the service desk. You don't want to manage them all individually. You want to manage them as a group, right? At least those that really belong together, right? We have already started with the clustering work. The backend part is all working. The part that we're working right now is the visualization piece. And again, we hope to deliver that until the roughly the fall time frame in the fourth quarter, right? Then around the new analyst UI, so some concepts that you saw earlier around the dashboard piece actually applies to the analyst UI itself. If you think about the console, the list view, so to speak, today you can define queries that says, hey, I want to see all open incidents in a specific location or whatever. You would define that by creating a query in the system and saving it. And, that's your query. Then how you can bring up these type of incidents. Similar to what you saw on the dashboard side, we're thinking about creating such queries to a natural language prompt, right? So you'd basically just say, hey, what type of incidents you want to see in your console, in your list view. You just describe that and the system would create a corresponding query and you can save it. And then next time you just bring it up again, right? So it's, again, another use case where it's kind of a text to query transition. And it's just a more convenient way and a faster way to use the capabilities that the tool has, right? But again, on the analyst side in general, we're looking at other ways how to insert AI capabilities more deeply into the user experience. Not that it's mandatory for everybody then to use it. There will probably still be an option to use it without. But again, we want to make sure that as we're building the new user experience, that the AI capabilities kind of taken into account right from the start, so to speak, right? So that, for example, can also include when you make any selections in a field, that the system would always make a recommendation, for example, right? Instead of just giving you all the values that you're able to select, right? The system would make active proposals, which is the most likely value, and that could also accelerate the idea. So last but not least, again, a little bit of outlook into the future here. We talked about the improved search capabilities. Change risk is certainly something that we are planning to look at over time. That's an area beyond the typical incident request support kind of scenario, where AI can help, and that will have a big impact on agility, right? Because if you can, again, with more nuance, determine whether a change needs approval or not, then a lot more changes can probably go through automatically, right? We talked about here the ability to create new custom applications, business objects with the corresponding expressions and workflows and UI. We talked about that again. That is something that you can look at as a prototype on the show floor. But again, we have other ideas how we want to expand the AI capabilities also to the LOB area. We have a little bit to catch up in that area, translating the concept that we have started out on the IT side into the LOB world. And then again, creating and augmenting the team spot that we have today with more intelligence, right? Not just adding the service request submittal capability, but also to add some AI capabilities to it, right? Now, I want to close out with a call to action here. Try it out. I think, again, there's nothing more than getting your hands on it, understanding the use cases, understanding a bit the technology. There's a lot of hype out there on AI, but I think ultimately the best way to counter the hype and potential anxiety is just to try it out, right? It's not it's in the end just a technology, an exciting one, right? That really pushes things forward. But I think the most important thing is to try it out. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in.